LETTER XLI OF Clarissa Harlowe, or the History of a Young Lady, Vol. 9. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recording by Nicole Lee, Clarissa Harlowe, or the History of a Young Lady, Vol. 9, by Samuel Richardson. Letter 41. Mr. Lovelace to John Belford, Esq. Tuesday, September 26. Fate, I believe, in my conscience, spins threads for tragedies, on purpose for thee to weave with. Thy Watford uncle, poor Belton, the fair, inimitable, exalted creature, and is she to be found in such a list? The accursed woman, and Tomlinson, seem to have been all doomed to give thee a theme for the dismal and the horrible. And by my soul, that thou dost work it going, as Lord M. would phrase it. That's the horrid thing. A man cannot begin to think, but causes for thought crowd in upon him. The gloomy takes place, and mirth and gaiety abandon his heart for ever. Poor M'Donald! I am really sorry for the fellow. He was an useful, faithful, solemn varlet, who could act incomparably any part given him, and knew not what a blush was. He really took honest pains for me in the last affair, which has cost him and me so dearly in reflection. Often gravelled as we both were, yet was he never daunted. Poor M'Donald, I must once more say, for carrying on a solemn piece of roguery he had no equal. I was so solicitous to know if he were really as bad as thou hast a knack of painting every body whom thou singlest out to exercise thy murdering pen upon, that I dispatched a man and horse to Maidstone as soon as I had thine, and had word brought me, that he died in 2 hours after he had received thy 5 guineas. And all thou wrotest of his concern in relation to the ever dear Miss Harlowe, it seems was true. I can't help it, Belford. I have only to add, that it is happy that the poor fellow lived not to be hanged, as it seems he would have been. For who knows, as he had got into such a penitential strain, what might have been in his dying speech? When a man has not great good to comfort himself with, it is right to make the best of the little that may offer. There never was any discomfort happen to mortal man, but some little ray of consolation would dart in, if the wretch was not so much a wretch as to draw, instead of undraw, the curtain to keep it out. And so much at this time, and for ever, for poor Captain Tomlinson, as I called him. Your solicitude to get me out of this heavy changeable climate exactly tallies with every body's here. They all believe that travelling will establish me. Yet I think I am quite well. Only these plaguy news and fulls and the equinoctials fright me a little when I think of them, and that is always. For the whole family are continually ringing these changes in my ears, and are more sedulously intent than I can well account for to get me out of the kingdom. But wilt thou write often when I am gone? Wilt thou then piece the thread where thou brokest it off? Wilt thou give me the particulars of their distress, who were my auxiliaries in bringing on the event that affects me? Nay, principals rather, since, say what thou wilt, what did I do worth a woman's breaking her heart for? Faith and troth, Jack, I have had very hard usage, as I have often said. To have such a plaguy ill name given me, screamed out upon, run away from, as a mad dog would be, all my own friends ready to renounce me. Yet I think I deserve it all. For have I not been as ready to give up myself as others are to condemn me? What madness, what folly this! Who will take the part of a man that condemns himself? Who can? He that pleads guilty to an indictment leaves no room for aught but the sentence. Out upon me for an impolitical wretch! I have not the art of the least artful of any of our Christian princes, who every day are guilty of 10 times worse breaches of faith, and yet issuing out a manifesto, they wipe their mouths, and go on from infraction to infraction, from robbery to robbery, commit devastation upon devastation, and destroy, for their glory, and are rewarded with the names of conquerors, and are dubbed Le Grand, praised and even deified by orators and poets for their butcheries and depredations. While I, a poor, single, harmless prowler, at least comparatively harmless, in order to satisfy my hunger, steal but one poor lamb, and every mouth is opened, every hand is lifted up against me. Nay, as I have just now heard, I am to be manifestoed against, though no prince, for Miss Howe threatens to have the case published to the whole world. I have a good mind not to oppose it, and to write an answer to it as soon as it comes forth, and exculpate myself by throwing all the fault upon the old ones. And this I have to plead, supposing all that my worst enemies can allege against me were true, that I am not answerable for all the extravagant consequences that this affair has been attended with, and which could not possibly be foreseen. And this I will prove demonstrably by a case, which, but a few hours ago, I put to Lord M. and the 2 Misses Montague. This it is. Suppose A, a miser, had hid a parcel of gold in a secret place, in order to keep it there till he could lend it out at extravagant interest. Suppose B in such a great want of this treasure as to be unable to live without it. And suppose A. the miser has such an opinion of B. the wanter, that he would rather lend it to him than to any mortal living, but yet, though he has no other use in the world for it, insists upon very unconscionable terms. B. would gladly pay common interest for it, but would be undone, in his own opinion at least, and that is every thing to him, if he complied with the miser's terms, since he would be sure to be soon thrown into gaol for the debt, and made a prisoner for life. Wherefore guessing, being an arch penetrating fellow, where the sweet hoard lies, he searches for it, when the miser is in a profound sleep, finds it, and runs away with it. B. in this case can only be a thief. That's plain, Jack. Here Miss Montague put in very smartly. A thief, sir, said she, that steals what is and ought to be dearer to me than my life, deserves less to be forgiven than he who murders me. But what is this, cousin Charlotte, said I, that is dearer to you than your life? Your honour, you'll say. I will not talk to a lady, I never did, in a way she cannot answer me. But in the instance for which I put my case, allowing all you attribute to the phantom, what honour is lost, where the will is not violated, and the person cannot help it? But, with respect to the case put, how knew we, till the theft was committed, that the miser did actually set so romantic a value upon the treasure? Both my cousins were silent, and my lord, because he could not answer me, cursed me, and I proceeded. Well then, the result is, that B. can only be a thief, that's plain. To pursue therefore my case, suppose this same miserly A., on awaking and searching for, and finding his treasure gone, takes it so much to heart that he starves himself. Who but himself is to blame for that? Would either equity, law, or conscience hang B. for a murder? And now to apply, said I. None of your applications, cried my cousins, both in a breath. None of your applications, and be damned to you, the passionate peer. Well then, returned I am to conclude it to be a case so plain that it needs none, looking at the two girls, who tried for a blush a piece, and I hold myself of consequence acquitted of the death. Not so, cried my lord. Peers are judges, thou knowest, Jack, in the last resort. For if, by committing an unlawful act, a capital crime is the consequence, you are answerable for both. Say you so, my good lord? But will you take upon you to say, supposing, as in the present case, a rape, saving your presence, cousin Charlotte, saving your presence, cousin Patty, is death the natural consequence of a rape? Did you ever hear, my lord, or did you, ladies, that it was? And if not the natural consequence, and a lady will destroy herself, whether by a lingering death, as of grief, or by the dagger, as Lucretia did, is there more than one fault the man's? Is not the other hers? Were it not so, let me tell you, my dears, chucking each of my blushing cousins under the chin, we either would have had no men so wicked as young Tarquin was, or no women so virtuous as Lucretia, in the space of how many thousand years, my lord? And so Lucretia is recorded as a single wonder. You may believe I was cried out upon. People who cannot answer will rave, and this they all did. But I insisted upon it to them, and so I do to you, Jack, that I ought to be acquitted of every thing but a common theft, a private larceny, as the lawyers call it, in this point; and were my life to be a forfeit of the law, it would not be for murder. Besides, as I told them, there was a circumstance strongly in my favour in this case; for I would have been glad with all my soul to have purchased my forgiveness by a compliance with the terms I first boggled at. And this, you all know, I offered; and my Lord and Lady Betty and Lady Sarah, and my two cousins, and all my cousins' cousins, to the 14th generation, would have been bound for me. But it would not do. The sweet miser would break her heart, and die. And how could I help it? Upon the whole, Jack, had not the lady died, would there have been half so much said of it as there is? Was I the cause of her death? Or could I help it? And have there not been, in 1,000,000 of cases like this, 999,000 that have not ended as this has ended? How hard then is my fate! Upon my soul, I won't bear it as I have done; but, instead of taking guilt to myself, claim pity. And this, since yesterday cannot be recalled, is the only course I can pursue to make myself easy. Proceed anon. End of Letter XLI.